This week, we're going to talk about hypnosis as a way to heal bullying. We'll get right into it after I hit this music. Joining me this week is Somatic Hypnotherapist and the Love Heals Anxiety guy, and I should mention the author of the 1 Minute Anxiety Solution, Mahesh Grossman. Mahesh, thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Yeah, so hypnosis. So what is that exactly?
So hypnosis and somatic hypnosis is a slightly different flavor of it. But hypnosis is the world's most common thing. Everybody thinks it's really special to be hypnotized, and maybe they saw the movie Get Out where she was tapping on the cup and the guy went into a trance. But the truth is you have been hypnotized 1,000 times in your life already.
What?
And
No.
because hypnosis is really three things. The first thing it is concentration. The second thing it is imagination. And the third thing it is connection to kind of the subconscious mind. But really the subconscious mind, when you get an aha moment, you're connected to your subconscious mind through that aha moment. So these are all things that happen to you all the time. So for example, if you're someone who likes novels, and let's say you read a novel and it says she saw a gray rock castle with a cherry red door, and you see that gray rock castle and that cherry red door in your mind, which a lot of people do. It's the same thing as if I were to say, Tim, picture a gray rock castle with a cherry red door.
I get it.
So that's the same thing. And if you're not one of those visual readers, if you've ever been to the movies and let's say Aaron Brockovich, for example, and you get upset when something bad happens to Aaron Brockovich, or angry, and you get happy when something good happens. It just happened to be a little scene from Aaron Brockovich on TikTok the other day,
Yeah.
but she's perfect. It's one of those things. None of those things are happening right now, and they're not happening to you, and yet you're feeling sad and happy and angry. It's because you're being hypnotized by the movie. So that's one element. If you're the type of person, if you've ever played a video game or read a book, and the person comes in the room and they say, Tim, and you didn't hear them until they yelled, you were hypnotized by the video game or whatever you're playing. If you missed an exit on the freeway or stop on the subway because you were so caught up in thought, that's also a form of hypnosis. So
Wow.
It's really, really normal.
So I walk around like this all day then, because that's
you are hypnotized.
That's me all the time.
We're all hypnotized a lot more often than we'd like to admit. So that's what hypnosis is. And when I say I'm a somatic hypnotherapist, I help you enter those states through connecting to your body, through connecting to the tension in your body. So, for example, if I was helping somebody with bullying, the first thing I would do is have them, the after effects of bullying, right? Bullying has a leftover effect on you. It may give you social anxiety. It may make you anxious about something else. But to heal the trauma that comes from bullying. All right. So, and the reason I call it somatic hypnotherapy is we work directly with your body as a way to kind of enter these states of concentration super fast. And so if, let's say, one of the things that bullying has done to you is made you socially anxious, and you're uncomfortable, say, going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting. I would have you imagine going to the Chamber of Commerce meeting, and as you imagine that, I'll ask you to notice where you feel tension in your body. Because when we're anxious, we'll feel tension in different parts. Some people it's the neck. A lot of times it's the chest or the midriff or the belly. And when you do that, you can find out the root cause of virtually anything once you notice that tension. Because then I'll ask you to notice how old you were the first time you were holding that tension in your body. Were you 10 or under, or 11 or older? And then once we get to an age, because we'll split the difference, eventually a number comes. Where were you? Were you home, school, or someplace else? And what was happening? Who were you upset with? And then we can really get to work.
Why does the age matter? Like, why does it matter if you're 10 or younger or 10 or older?
Well, there's a specific, anytime we're anxious about something, it comes from some specific experience. It may be a pattern of experiences, but there's one in particular that got, that applies to this particular thing. And when you have the only way to get to the particular experience is to say, well, how old was I? If you know how old, if you know it was
Yeah.
in third grade, then I can ask you, were you at home or were you at school or someplace else? And if a lot of bullying is in school, but you can ask, so what happened? Who were you with? And the thing is, what's really interesting about all these things is even though they happened a long time ago, and I don't know how old you are. Let's say you're 35, and it
Close.
happened
I'm
to you when you're
44.
8. What?
Yeah. I'm close. I'm 44.
I like to be a little generous. I was going to say
Yeah.
40. At any rate. But so the thing that happened is the person who hurt you when you were 8 years old. The math is harder. Let's call it you're 45.
Yeah. No
So,
problem.
well, 44, 36 years ago. Now they've had, you know how cells work. You have a new body every 7 to 9 years. That person doesn't exist anymore, but they live in your mind, right? You don't
Yep.
even know they live in your mind. But if you were to say to Billy, say Billy was the head guy that because you pick one, right? It's like even if it was a group of kids, there's one kid in particular that probably bothered you the most. And if you say, Billy, it really hurt me or it really scared me, usually it's hurt, scared, or made me mad. So, Billy, it really hurt me when you did whatever it was you did to me. When you picture Billy, here's the interesting thing 1,000% of the time, well, 100% of the time, really, Billy will say something unsatisfying. So the same thing goes, with parental stuff too. If your parent, let mom, it really hurt me when you criticize me all the time. The one in your head who is totally etched in stone in your head is going to say, well, yeah, you were easy. You were really easy to pick on, or like, you were really bad at sports and whatever it is. Which is not Billy's not saying that.
Yeah.
There's a part of you that's completely internalized that has that etched in stone in your brain. So what we need to do is we need to get Billy to say the magic words of "I'm sorry, you're a great kid. I never should have done that, and I won't do it again." And so when we get to that point, there's different ways of working with Billy, and sometimes Billy is you can get Billy you can find out why Billy is bullying you. It's really really interesting with bullying. This is happens over and over again. We can turn Billy into a 5-year-old, and we can ask Billy, whose love were you trying to get by being a bully to me? And weirdly enough, there's some kind of answer. The most interesting answer I got from a client was she was a little girl in kindergarten and she was bullied by two boys. And one of the boys, when we asked him, she instantly knew, and I don't know how this works or why this works, but it just seems to work. She instantly knew that A, his parents wanted a girl, and B, the older brother was the favorite, not let's say Billy. And that was the whole reason he was bullying her. Well, Billy and bully. It's a tongue,
Yeah. Has a
tongue
tongue
twister
twister.
at that point. But there's something really valuable in knowing that because whatever, children think that everything is their fault. And so when you actually have a sense of the reason why somebody bullied you, you suddenly let go of the feeling that there's anything about you that was the problem. It wasn't you weren't the problem. Something was going on in their home that was the problem. And 90% of the time it's that they were being abused on some level by a mom or a dad. And then
So
they
do you have to take people through like for me, I was bullied constantly through elementary to high school, and usually a separate incident. Do you have to go back to each of those incidents and look at every single one that you can remember, or can
well,
you just
no,
kind of find the
here's the
first
thing, it
time what
doesn't
happened?
we're working backwards.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean every single one. It means the things that whatever it's causing you. So whatever you're trying to fix. So what are things? Think of something you're trying to fix. Something that makes you either anxious or procrastinate or whatever the things are that you're trying to fix in your life.
Oh, it's just meeting new people in public. I'm a total
Yeah.
introvert.
Yeah. Okay. So good. So you're meeting. So this podcast is great for you, right?
Oh yeah, it works my public speaking.
Yeah. So you're just what happens is you start from the end, right? The end is I got anxious meeting somebody new in public this particular time. And then I would just walk you through the process. I mean, I could walk you through the process right now if you're open to it or not. Which would you prefer?
Hold on, we froze up again. I'm not sure what's going on with our connection today. All right. Okay. Actually, that's a great idea because actually I could walk through this process because I do have one instance well, it's the first time I was ever bullied was in second grade for wearing a hand-me-down shirt from another classmate who I didn't know it came from another classmate until that classmate told all his friends, hey, my parents gave him that shirt because they were poor. And that just wrecked my confidence from there on
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in kindergarten, I can remember far back as Head Start, it was called back then. I would always be the goofy kid. I would always I could make friends easily. I remember it used to be easy to make friends. And then once I realized I was a poor kid, wearing someone else's shirt, as a Chicago Bears sweatshirt, that just started my downfall.
Yeah. It's funny. There's this scene in the movie. I forget what it was, where a girl buys a dress and it has this terrible stain on it, and it's from a hand-me-down store. And her mom makes this beautiful little flower to cover the stain, and she gets outed by the girl whose dress it was, and it was a really big deal. I have a feeling hand-me-downs. There's a somewhat universal um, being outed for wearing hand-me-downs kind of thing.
Well, I think
So
today now it's more acceptable today. It seems like because you got thrift
it
stores everywhere.
depends. It depends on your social crowd. I bet.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're in a country club community in one of the top 100 zip codes for financial wealth, you might have the same problems. There's two ways I work with people. Sometimes I work with them the way you described, where we'll skip all the other steps. We'll just go to kind of healing that one thing. And sometimes if you have an issue around having met a new person, then we go back to that thing. But it seems like you've got the event picked out. So just let yourself kind of remember that feeling. And what was the name of the kid?
I have no clue.
Okay, what name would you like to give the kid?
Uh, we'll call him Adam because he was one of my bullies when I was younger too.
Okay. So yeah, so we can call him Adam. So picture Adam.
Okay.
And well, let's just say Adam, did it make you hurt you, make you scared, or make you angry?
It made me angry
Yeah.
and
Well,
embarrassed actually, both.
wait, angry and what else? Well, let's start with the anger, because you can only really do one at a time anyway. So for anger, I do it a little differently
Okay.
because sometimes people are afraid of feeling their anger. So this really helps. We're on a podcast, so I'll make it a little gentle. But I have people say, "Screw you, Adam. You don't get to," and you have to fill in the blank with what he doesn't get to do. But say it. See if you can
Yeah.
say it in an angry tone of voice.
Okay. Screw you, Adam. You don't get to talk to me like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Say it one more time,
Yeah.
and even let it be a little angrier. Like,
Okay.
screw you,
See,
Adam.
yeah, I got windows by my. I'm in a hallway, so it's kind of embarrassing.
Well, yeah, you don't have to be
Just 'cause I can
loud. You just have to be
yeah,
intense.
yeah. Okay. Screw you, Adam.
And you froze.
And I froze. Yeah, but sorry. Screw you, Adam. I don't have to take that from you.
Well, you don't get to. Switch it to about him, and
Okay. You don't
screw
get.
you,
Okay.
Adam. You don't get to.
Screw you, Adam. You don't get to. Oh, why is that so hard? You don't get to treat me like that. Screw you,
Yeah,
Adam. You don't get to treat me like that.
yeah. It is hard because we've got things
Yeah.
running us that don't let us have anger. That's why.
Because
And
you're always
in a
blaming.
private
Well,
session, we don't use "screw you." We use
yeah,
something else.
that's okay. Well, I can always add a little E button to my podcast. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. So, but you said it. Now say it one more time, and this time, picture Adam. And if you don't
Okay.
remember what he looked like, you can
I
use
kind of
central
do still.
casting and just have a vague, have a general.
Yeah. All right. Screw you, Adam. You don't get to talk to me like that.
Yeah, and let's see what happens. What does he do? How does he reply or respond?
I think he would have. I
No,
think
no,
he would
no,
just
no,
shut
no,
up.
not what. This
I
is
think.
everything I do is right here,
Uh,
right now. So
okay. So
picture
how would
him
he respond?
again. No
Okay.
intellectual guessing.
All right.
In your subconscious mind, this guy exists and he will do something or look away or not do something. But whatever it is, there'll be some kind of response.
Okay. So say it all over again.
Yeah, one more time and picture him
Okay.
and let him respond however he responds in your mind.
Okay. Screw you, Adam. You don't get to treat me like that.
Yeah, good. And do
Kind
you
of
see him?
slouches. I just
What?
see him slouch. I see him slouch.
Oh, okay. So he's a little bit ashamed. That's good. That's good, but he's not it's not satisfying, right? Just slouching isn't enough. So let's turn him into a 5-year-old. Picture him
Okay.
as a 5-year-old and ask him, whose love were you trying to get by making fun of me?
Okay. Did I say that out loud?
Wait, well, we're doing a show. You might as
Uh,
well.
yeah. Okay.
In a session with somebody, they can just think it in their mind, but
Yeah.
you'll leave
Okay.
a long
All
blank
right.
if you don't say it out
Yeah.
loud.
So, Adam, whose love are you trying to get?
By making fun of me.
Okay. So, Adam, whose love are you trying to get by making fun of me?
Yeah, good. And see if he gives you an answer.
The kids around him, his friends.
Yeah. And then whose love are you trying to get by getting the kids around you to like you?
So I say that to him.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So whose love are you trying to get by making fun of me?
No, by getting the other kids to
Oh,
like you.
gotcha.
Because really,
So
they're
who?
just a
Yeah.
they're just a symptom of something that's going on at home.
Yeah. So whose love are you trying to get? Why am I
By
saying this
getting
one
well, that's
wrong?
all right. You don't have to say. I'll say
Yeah.
it for you, and you just
Yeah.
see what the answer is.
All
Adam,
right.
whose love are you trying to get by getting the other kids to like you? Who won't love you if the other kids don't like you?
It's the other kids. He's trying to get liked by the other kids. I don't. There's
Yeah,
no other answer
but
for it. It's just
a lot of time. Okay, a lot of times when you want the other kids to like you, there's somebody else behind it.
okay.
So just we'll try one more time, but see if there's somebody else who do you need to be popular for? Yeah, who at home do you need to be popular for? Whose love are you not getting at home?
Yeah, I'm just not getting an answer
Not
for
getting
that
it.
one.
Typically, it's your mom or your
Yeah.
dad. Somebody wants to
Yeah.
be popular, but it's not that important. But you're already seeing that he's just trying to make fun of you get the other kids to like him.
You know,
And so now that he's a 5-year-old again, let's just assume it's both his mom and his dad. So let's picture his mom and dad. Of course, you'll use central casting. Probably don't know what they look like, and just have them imagine a ball of light, and each of them have a ball of light, and one of them is going to put a ball of light in his chest, the other in his belly, and just picture that happening, and see if you notice him being affected by that ball of light. If he feels different when he has those balls of
yeah.
light, then it can turn into one ball of light inside him.
Okay. So I'm trying to picture what he's feeling now.
Just see if you notice him. He's all lives inside you, right? So just see if you notice that he changes. He's really just a part of you
Yeah.
because he
But
only
he seems
exists in your
happy.
mind.
Yeah. He's happier.
Yes, good. So let that ball of light
Yeah.
spread through the whole body,
Okay.
and then let him grow up to be the age he was when he bullied you. You said second grade, so like 7 or 8.
Yeah. Yep.
And just say it to him again. Screw you, Adam. You don't get to make fun of me like that.
The connection broke up again. I didn't hear what you wanted me to say.
Okay. So have him say to him again, now that he's full of light and he's grown up to being 7 or 8 years old,
Okay.
just say to him, screw you, Adam. You don't get to make fun of me that way.
Okay. Screw you, Adam. You don't get to make fun of me that way.
And see what he does this time. Now that he's full of light.
Yeah.
How does he respond?
Like, so it's kind of funny. Like, he's shocked that I spoke back.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. At least he responded.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like that's satisfying enough. He's not like saying I'm sorry and stuff like that.
No, I didn't get that. I think he's more shocked.
Well, that's interesting. So, what I do in these situations is we use an understudy to play in the role of Adam in your life. The role of Adam today will be played by, and we'll pick someone, either a celebrity or a somebody you knew as a kid that you really liked. Who would you like it to be? Think of somebody,
Okay.
either a character on TV or a young celebrity, somebody who played a kid. For kids, I've had some people use Harry Potter, one of the Brady kids, one of the Partridge Family
Yeah.
kids. I don't know exactly who the kids are. You're a different generation.
Yeah.
You're in between
Um,
the Harry Potter and the
yeah, I
Partridge
know.
Family.
I'll probably go with like Daniel LaRusso from the Karate Kid movies.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ralph Macchio. Macchio.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio.
What you can either have the actor, you can have the character, and
We'll have
just
the character.
yeah, good. So have the character, have the Karate Kid there. That's a great choice. I'm going to put that in my little mental filing cabinet as a suggestion now. Say to him, "Screw you, Adam. You don't get to," because he's Adam, really.
Yeah.
He's the good version of Adam. So screw you, Adam. You don't get to
Okay.
treat me like that.
Yeah. Screw you, Adam. You don't get to treat me like that.
Okay, great. And see how the
Yeah.
Daniel LaRusso as Adam responds.
Yeah. He says, "I'm sorry. I was just trying to make a joke."
Yeah. So he's still a little defensive. He's
Yeah.
still a little defensive. And so there's a part of you that still lets him be okay with that in your subconscious mind. So let's bring Adam's parents again to
Okay.
Ralph Macchio, whatever the character is, Daniel LaRusso,
Yeah.
and let's forget it. Let's get Mr. Miyagi.
Okay.
And let's let Mr. Miyagi put a ball of light in Daniel's chest, the
Okay.
Karate Kid's chest. Just picture him putting a ball of light in, and let's see if Daniel feels it.
Okay. What I can hear him say is, "Daniel, karate lives in here."
Nice. And so, yeah, let him do that. Does
Yeah.
Daniel feel the ball of light?
Yes.
And let it spread through his body. And then say to him, screw you, Daniel, you don't get to
Okay.
treat me like that.
Screw you, Adam. You don't get to treat me like that.
And how does he respond now?
He's sorry, remorseful.
Yeah, good. Does that feel a little more satisfying?
Yeah.
See if he can tell you, Tim, you're a great kid. I never should have done that. I won't do it again.
Okay.
See what happens when he does that.
All right. So say the whole screw you, Adam again.
Are we frozen again?
Nope.
Okay.
You're fine. Yeah. Thinking. So I'll say, screw you, Adam. You don't get to treat me like
No,
that.
you just, well,
Oh, I
just
don't get to
see
say
if
that
you,
again.
he's already said, I'm sorry. So let
Yeah.
him just
Okay.
say, let him just see what happens.
I gotcha.
If he says, I'm sorry, you're a great kid. I never should have done that. And I won't do it again. See how it
Okay.
feels. See if he can say it. See if it feels sincere. See if it's satisfying.
So what I'm seeing, because I know this character pretty well. I don't know if you're familiar with Daniel LaRusso.
Yeah.
He's kind of a hot-headed kid, but he can calm down a bit. So I'm picturing this as his character still. He is remorseful. He wish he never said that.
Yeah, it's good.
Because he's got Miyagi next to him too, and Miyagi, that's not that's not
That's
nice.
okay.
Yeah, and he'll never do it again.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have that happen inside you? When you think
To
about
get an apology?
yeah,
Well, it feels good to get the apology.
yeah. How does your body feel when you think about that original situation now?
Not as bad, not bad. Actually, no, not bad at all.
Yeah.
Because
See, that's
in
how this
reality,
stuff works.
in reality, what I'm starting to see. In reality, I probably made it more of an issue than it really wasn't an issue, though, either. That's what I'm kind of figuring
Well,
it out.
that was an
Maybe,
issue
I
for
mean,
you. I mean, he was trying to embarrass you.
yeah,
That's an issue, right? You don't need
yeah,
to minimize it. It was an issue for a kid who's 7 years old to hear that. It hurts.
yeah,
Yeah, who's already embarrassed about being poor. All these other things. It's like the things that happened that hurt us count. They affected us. So even if it seems minuscule, if it affected you, you have permission to allow that to have been important. Whether or
yeah,
not it seemed important to the kid, and whether it's like there's something that wanted to be healed there. And the thing is, sometimes when we work with that, if we had started slightly differently, if we were in a session together, I would say just notice where you feel tension in your body. See if you notice that there's more, if there's leftover tension because
yeah,
that may have something that goes back to a younger age, and sometimes it goes back to something that happened with your parents. And so, but
yeah,
this is how you heal bullying. You find the places that first off that it's affecting you, right? So if it weren't affecting you, there'd be nothing to heal.
correct.
But you find the effect on you, however, things that make you anxious, things that make you uncomfortable, things that trigger you, and you work backwards from those things to events, and then you go through the event, and it takes you to this process. Now, I have a free PDF that goes step by step through this process called the Emotional Overload First Aid Kit. And you can pick
Okay,
it up for free at anxiety123.com. I made it as easy as 123 to remember. It's anxiety123.com. And it's like my link tree. So it's like different buttons you
yeah,
can pick. If you want to just click there's a button that says free emotional overload first aid kit. And it takes you step by step through this process and a little bit more than that too. and it's a great thing. You can use it anytime you want. So if people are listening and they want to be able to do this kind of thing for themselves, for virtually anything that triggers you, you can find out what the original event is by just asking, well, where do I feel it in my body?
Yeah. It's interesting. I really enjoyed that. It was just interesting to go back and think, well, just to sit there and think about what happened when I was 8 years old. What kind of, like, the first event when you're picked on, you tend to remember the first time it happened, and
Yeah,
it's interesting to go back there and actually sit back there for a while and think about that time, because I haven't really thought about that time too much. I talk about it every now and then very briefly, and it happened. This is how it started, blah blah blah. But to actually sit back and, I shouldn't say sit back, but to think back that far and really understand, what was going on, how it made me feel, it makes me wish I was smart enough to say back then, is I wish I knew enough to speak back, but I was, 8
yeah,
years
but
old.
kids don't know
Yeah,
how to do that.
correct. We gotta teach them.
Yeah, and also it's like it was the first time it happened, so it's not like you had a chance
Yeah,
to practice. You just
yeah,
and whatever affects us because you were overwhelmed. You have leftover emotions from that experience that it wasn't safe enough to process back then. We have negative self beliefs that come from things like that happen. That, a lot of people who work with these things, bring ask you to bring in your adult self. But what I find is that you bring in the person who hurt you. And if you
yeah,
change the person who hurt you, it automatically changes inside you. And that particular layer of it doesn't affect you anymore. That doesn't
yeah,
mean there aren't other layers at times, but depending on how big a deal the thing was. But it
yeah. It's very
yeah, there's
interesting.
there's a way to bring peace to these things so that they don't affect you anymore. And it doesn't mean that there isn't software running you that may have kind of an automatic response. One of the things I find in my life is if I watch a TV show and somebody's acknowledged on the show, doctor on Grey's Anatomy gets, some beautiful, you know, compliment or something like that, my eyes begin to water automatically. But it doesn't
Yeah,
bother me anymore. I mean, for me, it's because of my lack of acknowledgement at a certain age. And I've healed as much of it as I can heal, but the software still may go off. I may still have a little residual tears that show up, but it doesn't bother me anymore
yeah,
because I've healed all the underlying stuff. It's like just okay. This is my programming, so it's okay to have programming. That's kind of how human beings are wired. But when you can let go of the things that are causing you tension in your body all the time, that are stopping you from doing certain things, that are making you do certain things. People have all these patterns. People get into relationships, and sometimes they pick the wrong people over and over again
yeah,
because they have this underlying cause. And sometimes, if they're in a good relationship, they run away from it. That's one of the common things. Or if you're in business, you have to be a perfectionist at something, or you have to just keep achieving and achieving, and you never get a break because in order to be loved, what you needed to do to escape, in order to be loved, was you only were loved when you achieved. Otherwise, you were invisible. So we all have these different things where we give meanings to things that don't actually have that meaning because of things that happened in our childhood. And when you heal these things, you just become much more relaxed. But you just
yeah.
feel more comfortable being yourself. And B, you end the patterns and you're able to kind of choose what you want to do next and how you want to be in different situations. Or, you have the technique. So, like, if you catch yourself triggered, you can kind of work on what's really going on here.
Mahesh, I love all of this. I love going through that. Well, first I want to say thank you again for taking me through that little, uh, is this called somatic or somatic?
Somatic, somatic
Somatic,
hypnotherapy. But
somatic
yeah, I mean,
hypnotherapy.
this was less somatic. Well,
Yeah, it's a little taste of it, I would call.
yeah,
So
Yeah,
I'm sure you could have gone deeper and deeper. Yeah.
I mean, the somatic part usually is the key to getting to the event, but you already had
Yep.
the event. So
Yeah.
if you already know what you're looking for, then we just go right there, and that's kind of how we do it.
Mahesh, if people want to get a hold of you or follow you, how can they do that? Or buy your book? Again, I know you said
Okay,
it
yeah.
once,
So
but we'll
so
say it
so
again.
the book has 57 different ways to lower anxiety in a minute, and it's called the 1 Minute Anxiety Solution. Everything's at anxiety123.com.
Okay.
So you can set up a free consult with me if you want to work privately with me. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. There are links there. You can get the free emotional overload first aid kit. And if you'd really like to do the kind of work that we just did, and even more, I have a course called Defy Trauma. And if you push the button on defytrauma.com, the link to Defy Trauma, it'll show you literally step by step everything I do. And, this was a taste, but clearly there's all kinds of things that happen afterwards. So all you have to do is go to anxiety123.com and, at the very least, just pick up the emotional overload first aid kit or follow me on TikTok or Instagram, and we'll be able to continue.
Perfect. Mahesh, I want to say thank you for coming on today. I really enjoyed this session today. It feels like I had a session today. I
We did.
enjoyed this session. Yeah, it was great.
It's so interesting to see because I do. This is what I do on podcasts a lot of the time. If somebody's willing,
Yeah.
then then we do that. And of course, my process has some of the things that happen in this process when I work with people. There's a step. When bad things happen to us, we squash a part of ourselves, and we repress our self love, our joy, our confidence, our sense of safety, all these things. And so there's something that cultures uh, do the shamanic practice that's called a soul retrieval, which really just means finding the things you squashed and unsquishing them. That's the technical
Yeah.
terms I use. And so I have this process where you go to the library, you see a beautifully wrapped present on the library table. It used to be the most beautiful place, but I found that the library is so easy to just everybody can see a library pretty fast. And when you open the present, there's something inside that represents whatever it is that you've cut off inside yourself. And so I was doing this process with a woman whose husband had been murdered 20 years prior by someone he knew at work, that they both knew from his work. And so she had gotten rubies, and the rubies represented love, allowing love in. And so one of the questions I ask people is to ask the rubies what it is, if they need anything from you in order to stay with you forever. Because what you do is you take the present, you put it in, like the balls of light in that we did. You put the rubies, or I had a
Yeah.
guy with a hair who used to have a hairbrush that he brushed his mullet with, and his head is like yours, and he would brush his mullet. He's about your age too, before he went out, and the brush represented his joy. So his present was the hairbrush. Her present was rubies. And so I asked her to ask the rubies, what do you need in order to stay with me forever? And the ruby said, you need to allow love in. And she said, are you willing to do that? I asked her, are you willing to do that? And she said, no. I love no. Wait, anything you're resisting is gonna, when you stop resisting, is gonna make a massive change in your life. I had no idea how much of a change this was gonna make. So we did some pieces of work that I teach in the Defy Trauma course, and that I do with people one on one. But she got within 5 or 10 minutes, she was willing to allow love in. And at the end of the session, she looked peaceful, but I didn't think much of it. But when she came back the next week, she had been wearing a gray sweatsuit to every single session. And there was a good chance if she was wearing it every single week with me, she was probably wearing a gray sweatsuit every single day of her life. Suddenly, she was wearing a beautiful pink top with brand new blue jeans. That was pretty shocking in and of itself. But then
Yeah.
she said to me, I had dinner with my son last night, and he said, Mom, I don't even recognize you, because she was so different. He had seen a depressed woman since he was 9 years old. He was 29. She had been depressed for 20 years. He had never seen her as not depressed in those 20 years. And all of a sudden she was normal and happy and a regular person. And her depression had left because she did this little exercise with the gift, and it told her to let love in, and she became willing to let love in, and all of a sudden the depression was gone.
Wow.
So those are these things I do make this, when you learn this process either on your own or you do it with me privately, it changes things really rapidly. And the
Yeah.
anxiety stuff too, with the book, just having techniques to lower your anxiety when it shows up changes everything. I had a woman in New Zealand who wrote to me because her husband had been in the hospital, and the doctor called her and said, "You better come in because I don't know if he'll make it through the night." And she had a fear of driving at night. She didn't like her. There was something mechanically not perfect about her car. It was raining, and there were perfect, and there were all kinds of. There had just been a hurricane, so there were all kinds of obstacles on the road. And somehow she managed to drive. She said, "Using your techniques calmed me down enough that I was able to drive." And if you'd asked me to make a bet whether my techniques worked for like not normal, but things that should scare you,
Yeah.
I would have said, "Oh, I don't know if they work for that." But she wrote me and she said, and she was able to get to her husband and hold his hand. And the doctor said because she was there, that turned a corner, and he lived. And so having a set of techniques that calm you down can make a huge difference in your life. Even the things that, even if you don't go to heal the bullying, if you have techniques to just calm down, it makes a big difference. So that's where the 1 minute anxiety solution and the 57 techniques come in.
Awesome. And I'm going to put all those links in the show notes if you're listening on audio. If you're on YouTube, it'll be in the description. I want to say thank you again for coming on today.
My pleasure, Tim. Nice to get to do it. Thanks for having me.